Hello everyone, welcome back to FPL Star. Today I gonna discuss about FPL popular buy-sell comparison and I also rank them based on their performance. So before starting, if you are new in this channel, please subscribe this channel. Now let's start. First player for Game Week 6 should be Erling Haaland. If you don't have Erling Haaland, it's must have because in recent time he is in great form and he scored 9 goals and provide 1 assist in his first 5 outing for Manchester City, and his XG per 90 is 1.77, which is amazing for a striker. And if you look at his performance in last 2 matches against Nottingham Forest, he scored a hat-trick, and also against Crystal Palace he scored a hat-trick, and I think he will obviously start against Aston Villa. It's not a really compulsory, but I still think that there is a chance that he should start because in his last match against Nottingham Forest he was subbed in 67 minutes, and that's the thing that you should consider, and that's why I think Erling Haaland should be on. And if he doesn't start against Aston Villa, still I think he's a buy for you because he will give you a lot of points in the near future, so you need to buy, and that's why I think essential. The second essential player is Wilfried Zaha from Crystal Palace. Now Crystal Palace fixture looks good. Newcastle Manu is medium fixture. At the beginning of the season they have a very tricky fixture like Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, but still Zaha scored a lot of goals. He scored 4 times, and if you look at his goal involvement ratio is 0.94, which is amazing. So that's why I think Zaha is a essential for Game Week 6. Now I move on to the second option, third and fourth option, and third and fourth option is obviously Martinelli. If you don't have Martinelli, then he is must for your team, but I don't prefer him ahead of Zaha now because Zaha's fixture looks good and Martinelli's fixture is slightly harder than Zaha. That's why I think Zaha is far better for your team if you don't have Zaha than Martinelli. And the fourth option is Bernardo Silva. Now he is a very good buy because now as the transfer window closes, he stays for Manchester City and he is very good in ball playing, and in recent time he playing as a right winger and he playing very well actually, and that's why I think Bernardo Silva is a very cheap option for Manchester City attack, and that's why he is a good option. And I think if you have Zaha or Martinelli, or you can triple up your midfield with mid-range midfielder, then Bernardo can be the third option, and obviously Martinelli and Zaha should be the priority. And the next two is Pascal Gross from Brighton. He is a good option because his fixture is now medium, but he playing in the advanced start, and that's why he is a good option. And if you look at his performance against Fulham, in this match he blanked, but against Leeds he scored 1 goal, and against Manchester United he will score 2 goals, and that's why I think Gross is a very good option for your team, and it's a good buy if you want to buy him. And the next option is Saliba. It's a good buy because he's just 4.8 million. He was starting the season with 4.5 million. Now his value is 4.8 million, and he's a center back for Arsenal, and his price rises because he plays as a center back, and when the set piece taken he come to the D box and headed goal. I think that's why his prices looks good, and his performance is also good. If you look at his goal involvement ratio was 0.20, which is very good for a defender, and Arsenal defense also looks good, and that's why I think Saliba is a very good option, and he is just 4.8 million. As Zinchenko is injured now, I think Saliba is a good replacement for Zinchenko. Now move on to the other two buy option, and this is Luis Diaz. I think Luis Diaz is now optional because Liverpool fixture now looks not so good. Everton can be a good fixture, but Wolves, Brighton or Chelsea doesn't defensively bad team. They are defensively so solid, and that's why I think Luis Diaz is not a good option, but he's a good optional option I think. And if you want to go for a Luis Diaz, it's not a very good option, but if you have Luis Diaz in your team, then obviously you should keep him. And if you look at his performance against Bournemouth, he scored 2 goals, and against Crystal Palace he scored 1 goal. In last match in Newcastle he misses a chance, and that's why I think he's blanked in this game week 5. And now I think Luis Diaz is the optional option, and the other option is Cancelo, and I don't think it's a needy to buy Cancelo now because he doesn't looks attacking. If you look at his goal involvement ratio is 0.08, which is not good for a defender, but you can get clean sheets as well as some attacking return, as he's not totally attacking, but he sometimes gives some attacking return, and that's why I think he's an optional option. Now next two option for game week 6 people who are buying is Mitrovic. People 320k people buying Mitrovic, but his next two fixture is Tottenham and Chelsea. He looks to be a fixer pro, but I don't think that in next two match he score 2 or 3 goals. I think there will be 1 goal or probably blanked in these two game week, and that's why I put him in the ignore category. If you look at his stat, it looks good. His goal involvement ratio is 0.90, which is amazing. The last player in this list who people are buying is Perisic. 216k manager buying him, but I don't think it's a good option because if you look at Perisic's performance in last two matches, he playing as a starter, but I think in Fulham match he should be benched, and he can be benched as his Champions League match is ahead of them, and his fixture also doesn't look good ahead of Fulham match. Like Manchester City, Leicester, Arsenal is very hard for scoring attacking return or maintaining clean sheet, and that's why I don't think that Perisic is a good option, and this type of buy you should ignore. Now move on to the sale category, and first essential sale is obviously Rodrigo. It is essential because he is out for 2 October, and he's a injured player, and you don't need an injured player in your team, and 101 million people selling him, and that's a good thing. And if you have Rodrigo in your team, it is must sell for your team. And the second option you should consider is a good sell is Odegaard, because Arsenal's fixture now looks bad, and Odegaard's goal involvement ratio is 0.35, which is not good for a midfielder, and that's why I think his fixture is bad as well as his performance attacking ability is not so good. That's why I think you should avoid Odegaard. Now move on to the other two option, and Saint-Maximin is now injured. He's slightly injured, and he can still play in game week 6, but I don't think it will happen, and that's why I think Saint-Maximin is a good sell if you want to sell Saint-Maximin. The green note is people selling because they are going to buy 3 forward option, and this season 3 forward option looks a good idea, and that's why I think Greenwood selling is a good option. Now move on to the other two option, and Kevin De Bruyne, people selling him, people buying him for game week 3, 4 and 5, and now people selling him because he blanked, and that's the thing you not consider. In FPL, you should buy player who playing a regular time, and you think he's a very good option for at least 4 and 5 game week, and now that's not case for Kevin De Bruyne, and people selling him, and I know that he might be rotated and his value is too high, 12.2 million, and if you want to feed Kevin De Bruyne, you have to sell Salah or Haaland, but it's not a good idea. That's why people selling Kevin De Bruyne, and I think it's a good option. And the other people is selling is Harry Kane, and I think it's an optional option because his next match is Fulham, and it's not looking good for selling Kane for Fulham match. If you hold him for couple of week, like week 1 to 5, now you have to hold him because Fulham match I think Harry Kane can score goal because Fulham will be low block team, and that's why I think Harry Kane is a very good option. You don't need to jump to Haaland this game week. After this game week you can jump, but this game week is not perfect for jump to Kane to Haaland. Now move on to the other people who are selling is Reece James, and it's an optional option because I think that in next match he probably start against West Ham, but there is a slight chance that he might not start, and that's why people selling Reece James is a optional option I think, and I don't prefer this kind of sale, but I understand that people selling him why. And if you look at Reece James' performance in recent time, he got 1 goal and 1 assist. Again Leicester he got 1 assist, and that's why I think he can give you some attacking return as well, so you need to hold this kind of player. But if you want to sell him, it's an optional option. The 8th option is Zinchenko. I think he should start in next match because in last match press conference Arsenal manager said that Zinchenko in training with the player in group, and that's why I think in this game week I think Zinchenko should start, but probably cannot start because of injury, and that's why people selling. And I think it's obviously an optional option. It's not a compulsory option. You must sell Rodrigo, Odegaard, or send maximum Kevin De Bruyne, but Zinchenko selling is not a very good option. It's an optional option. Now move on to the last two sell, and people selling Tony. His fixture looks amazing in recent time, and people selling Tony is not a brainer for it. And if you look at his price, also fallen for 0.1 million because of people selling. And if you look at Tony blanked against Crystal Palace and Everton, but that doesn't mean that he cannot score goal, because his fixture now looks so amazing that he can score goal for your team. And if you look at his goal movement ratio is 0.73, which is for a striker is not totally bad. It's a medium thing, and I still think that you should hold Tony. If you're selling Tony, it's a ignore option, and it's not a good decision. And people selling Salah, it's not a obviously a good decision, because in last match he also got 2 assists and he even scored a goal. He passed the ball to other and they miss it, and that's why I think Salah should obviously ignore to sell. You obviously hold him, and if you don't have Salah, then buy him obviously. And 192k manager selling him is not a brainer for me. Now that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like this video, and if you are new in this channel, obviously subscribe this channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon for regular update. And that's all. Happy fantasy, good luck for your team.